Hello, everyone. My name is meteorologist Hutch Johnson. Joining you tonight, I'm talking about two systems impacting the weather across the United States. An exiting storm on the East Coast, bringing everything from tornado warnings, flash flooding, and even some wintry conditions to the Great Lakes and Ohio River Valley. A little break in the nation's midsection and blizzard warnings out to the west, where we have another system making its way onshore. And an Arctic express of air is heading our way. We're going to talk about all of it. We'll have a look around at the impacts of these systems, including power disruptions for tens of thousands of Americans heading into the evening hour. Let's get started with a look at these watches and warnings on the radar right now. And here is what you need to know with regards to that. Our actual weather conditions across the nation have really swung full as we look in toward the East Coast. And let's go ahead and put the radar up as we take a look at the advisories. First of all, on the East Coast, where you see these yellow counties here from Virginia Beach through Kitty Hawk, those are a tornado watch at this time. Now, we do have an active line of severe storms working their way through. That's what these orange boxes are. So if you are in the coastal areas of the Carolinas, please be aware of the weather pattern because we have some approaching very strong storms. Pay attention to your local authorities there, and your local National Weather Service offices will have the latest on your watches and warnings. We'll go over those momentarily as we drift to the north. Flood advisories, watches, and warnings abound as we go through portions of Philadelphia, the nation's capital, and Maryland down by Salisbury. And let's look at this up in the Bangor, Maine area, northern Maine. Winter storm warnings continue on the cold side of this system, surrounded by winter weather advisories. Now, this storm system on the backside where it's drawing in deep, cold pools of air from Des Moines through Madison and exiting winter storm and continuing in those areas. And from St. Louis all the way through the Chicago area, winter weather advisories for these purple counties you see. Little break in the nation's midsection from Bismarck, North Dakota, straight south into Texas right now. But out to the west, we have yet another system making landfall. And as that one moves onshore, that's promising to bring a line of, well, wintry conditions that are starting right now. So we have ice scraping cold heading our way. And we have more on the way as well. Now, I'm going to load up a little bit more on the radar, but to do that, I'm going to turn off all of these watches and warnings so we can see better what is going on across the lower 48. And we'll even take a look out in Alaska where things have been impactful as well in that area. So turning that off, we'll turn a look at the radar on. And I do think in the meantime, I'll put up power disruptions for us because the weather on the East Coast is really starting to disrupt some power seriously. So this is a site called poweroutages.us. Check this out. Where you're seeing the reds here, we have areas where we have over 100,000 people without power at this time. So this storm system with the thunderstorms down in the mid-Atlantic states to the, well, very rainy and wet weather across the East Coast, we definitely have some impact. So as I take a click on the North Carolina area and hover the mouse over, you can see 167,000 plus people are without power in North Carolina. And we have 130,000 people in Pennsylvania without power. Well, we have the orange counties here, or the orange states, I should say. We have numbers of people, tens of thousands of people in New York State, as well as Virginia and Maryland as well, without power. And in Missouri, we have 19,000 customers without power. And in the southeast United States, well, basically from the Georgia area, South Carolina, right into Alabama and Florida, we have folks that are dealing with power outages tonight. And in the Pacific Northwest, things are cranking up with the next system beginning to make its way onshore there as well, as we have over 20,000 people without power. In Pennsylvania, I'll click on this for you. We'll get a county-by-county look, but you can see here where we have the yellow or orangish shaded Erie County with nearly 20,000 people without power. And out towards Chester County, 30,000 people without power. And in central PA and eastern PA near Sullivan County, we have a number of folks without power in that particular area. So we definitely have areas of concern in and around Pennsylvania. And now as we zoom in to other areas of the country, let's take a look at the radar and show you what's going on with regards to our activity right now. Let me turn on the national radar here so you can get a peek at this too while I'm talking. Number one, Well, I'll tell you what, it's very active along the East Coast. Now, I'm going to switch this over to a winter mosaic here so you could get a better feel for the where it's snowing and where it's not on the radar. And as you take a look at the deeper shades of blue here, all the way from Madison, Wisconsin, near my shoulder, and Chicago up into the Great Lakes area. And then we get up into Canada from Toronto to Ottawa. You see the pinks there? That's areas of icing. And then down from Boston straight south through New York, we have the showers and thunderstorms. Here is the good news. The line of sharp thunderstorms is beginning its exit off the coast. So from Myrtle Beach, now this is a very strong and very windy line of storms out there, and it's those winds that are actually adding to the intensity of these storms as well. So the impacts will be quite great out there, and as you saw, we have power outage problems along this leading edge of thunderstorm activity. And as we go to the north, we can peek in here. Let me see, I clicked on something I didn't mean to. As we go to the north, we can peek into Albany, New York, and up near the, Brockville area. Look at the bright pink as we go into Ottawa and we cross into parts of southern Canada near Montreal. Very icy conditions that far north, even into Montreal. We have some heavy snow in the darker blue shades there. So that's what's going on. And you get into parts of Michigan right now, north of Lansing, we have rain that transitions into the snow. Once you get up into that Traverse City area and the UP, it's heavy snow near Sault Ste. Marie. All in all, the snow continues in eastern portions of Iowa, with Davenport picking up some still heavy rain and wind conditions in those areas. And it is beginning its exit out of Minnesota in the southeastern quadrant of the state of Minnesota. Here's an Alberta clipper working its way through the Dakotas right now. That's bringing a band of snow that will push eastward towards Minnesota as we head into the day on Wednesday with some light accumulations. But it's this system here near Saskatoon, that Alberta clipper exiting Calgary through Saskatoon, is going to pull in some mighty chilly air. And here's the system that's just getting rolling. And then it's got the blizzard warnings for the Snoqualmie Pass area, where we're expecting another shellacking of snow in these areas. So again, pay attention, travelers, to any of the watches and warnings in these areas. And very quiet now through the south and central part of the plains. Let's look at the forecast with regards to the models. And I do want to point out here with these models, as we take a look at a regional outlook. Well, let's go with the more global outlook of the American model here. You can see the storm system that is working its way on the, Atlantic seaboard right now. And that system is working its way out north and east. So the rain will continue. And as we step through on this, look at the onset of the next wave making its way in from the Pacific Northwest. Putting this into motion now, you can see the timestamp here is this afternoon at 3, heading into the day of the 10th. Look where this system quickly exits the East Coast. And here comes the next wave on the West Coast. By the time we get to 9 a.m. on your Wednesday morning, I'm expecting to see that heavy rain now pushing into Quebec City, as we have snow in that area now transitioning over to rain. Quieting down in the Boston area briefly on the cold side of the system. Very gusty north winds will draw in some more snow. Nation's midsection fairly quiet with that clipper working through the northern plains in the Dakotas. And check this out. As you look from Medford, Oregon through Salem and all the way up into portions of the Snoqualmie Pass area, very heavy batches of snow working its way through and across the elevated terrain in particular. I want to point this out. I'm getting more of a continental view for you to have you watch this low pressure system and what it does. It's very interesting as we go through the course of the week. It moves northward and then it swirls back over us. See that? Way back over to the United States. Here comes round 2, the one making its way through the Pacific Northwest. Now by the 12th, it begins to impact the East Coast and Great Lakes once again with another round of very heavy rain, potentially strong thunderstorms in the deep south, and some heavier snow in the Great Lakes region. Meanwhile, another system makes landfall in the Pacific Northwest as we cross into the 12th 3 days from now. Now, as we continue this process, I want you to keep your eyes on this Hudson Bay area, way up here north of Toronto. And watch what these storms are going to be doing. They're going to swirl around and they're going to come back at us with some cold air. Here comes another system working its way through the nation's midsection and even deep south with a chance for, and this is way out, so a lot can change here, but a chance for some snow. in the southeastern United States, maybe even as far as northern Georgia. We'll keep you posted, but that cold air will be infiltrating the northern plains, changing the storm track in a big, big way. Quiet as we head through the middle of the month for most of the western 2/3 of the nation. And as we set this into motion, you can see this swirling mass swirling up by Hudson's Bay, continuing to bring cold air into the northern plains and the Great Lakes region. And that cold air will punch all the way south into the Gulf of Mexico as well. How cold will those temperatures be? Well, the weather pattern looks to be very chilly indeed. Take a look at this. While these load for you, I want to point out where you see this kind of weird green shade here. We're talking about some just ridiculous air that's going to work its way into the nation's midsection. Check this out. Boom. It starts making its way down as we head through the middle of the month and toward the latter portion of the month as well. And it's still loading in some of the data here. But watch this cold air mass out of Canada just park and continue to bring wave after wave of Arctic air into the northern plains, riding the Colorado Rockies and the northern Rockies of Canada all the way into the central plains states as we go through the time period. So all in all, we've got a very cold stretch of weather. And I would like to point out that as we take a look at one model here, I'm going to go ahead and put up the European model that goes out. This is kind of fun to look at. And I am going to change this over to look at wind chill with this cold air mass. So let me load up that parameter for you as we take a look at these values here over the next few days. Now we're talking our midweek forecast now. Here's the pooling of those purpley blue colors. And look at this, minus 30s, minus 40s in parts of central and northern Canada begin working and migrating southward. And these are wind chills now, not air temperatures. So keep that in mind if you are down in the deep south. Look where this system brings the cold air. I'm going to bring this down. Boom. See those deep, dark blue colors? Minus 30 to minus 50 for wind chills for parts of northern Montana, northwestern North Dakota. And the timestamp on this is on Sunday at noon. So this Sunday, as we go into the noon time frame, it looks just bone-chilling cold. And look at the deep south. Texas, are you kidding me? Wind chills down near Houston could be near 15 degrees, 10 degrees in the morning of January 16th. The cold air just slams all the way south into Texas as this very Arctic air mass sets in. And it's going to linger, and wave after wave will possibly continue for many of us as we head deeper into the month of January. So all in all, our weather pattern has shifted. We'll continue to see this shift and the impacts of its the deep dive of cold air drying out the northern plains, keeping that storm track very active from the Gulf Coast up the Atlantic seaboard as we go through the next few days. And storm systems that ride up the northeast in that nor'easter pattern will swirl back around Hudson's Bay and continue to bring this constant north flow of cold Canadian air over the Great Lakes region. That's a look at the nation's weather. Hey, I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. Follow me on Hutch's Weather. You can look me up on Facebook, right here on YouTube. I'd love to have your subscription, and you can click on the little dingle bell to be notified when I'm going live. I bring a meteorologist perspective to some of the national weather. Make no mistake about it. These models that we're showing you are just that. They're guidance. This does not mean this is set in stone of what's going to happen. And that's why it's so important for you to track your local weather alerts, watches, and warnings from your local media sources or the local National Weather Service office. If you liked what you've heard here, I sure hope you give my video a like and share, and go ahead and subscribe to my channel here. I'll keep you updated. Again, from the perspective of a meteorologist. Have a wonderful evening and brace for some wintertime smacks from the Great White North as we go through the rest of the month of January. Whew!